Merry Christmas! I don't know if you know how many days we have left, but we have 11 more days left until Christmas. Now, for adults in the room, that probably feels like not a lot of time. For kids in the room, that probably feels like forever still to wait. And I am so glad that the kids are with us. Kids, like Pastor Steph said, this is your church, this is your building, and this is your gathering. And I'm going to tell you a little bit secret. Now, when someone tells you a secret, you need to lean forward. So I want everyone to lean forward as I tell you the secret. You ready? Everyone lean forward. Big ears. You got it? A very, very, very long time ago, I used to be a kids pastor. It was my job to teach the Bible to kids. And so when I found out the kids were going to be in the room with us, I thought we should have a little bit of fun. Kids, do you want to have fun this morning? You want to have fun? Fantastic. I think the adults will learn something too, but you are definitely going to learn something. Now, before we do that, I have a really cool screen here. You see this screen right here? It's like magic. And this is kind of like a magic wand. And what I can do is I can draw on this screen. Let's see. I'll write my name. Can you see that? See, it shows up like that. So anything I draw on here will show up on there. And I used to love art. Does anyone love art? I loved doing art. I loved doing crafts. I was such a crafty kid. I wish that I could have had a room in my house that was like a craft room that I could leave all the time. I could just do my things and not have to clean up. How many of you do not like cleaning up? Oh, you're, okay, some of you, okay, good, because I don't like cleaning up. So I thought what could happen here is we could draw some pictures together. You want to draw some pictures together? Now, I'm going to draw something. I want you to guess what I'm drawing. Are you ready? Okay, oh, I heard some of you. Okay, you're right. I'll start, and then when you know what it is, you just call it out as you see it, okay? So I'm going to start with, that's not very good. There we go. I heard a snowman. The kids got it before the adults. Online, you can tell me online as well. Okay, you ready? Let's try something more difficult. Here, I'll change the color. I have different colors. Actually, let me show you. This is my favorite one. I can like design like that. I know, it's really cool. Okay, let me draw something else. You ready? A star. You guys are so good. Okay, one more. Let's see. This one's going to be a little bit trickier. That's not a J for Jessica, I know, or Jesus, but it's not. Hey, I wasn't even done, and you already called it out. It's not an upside-down candy cane. What do you think it is? Stocking. A stocking. Good job. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was excellent. Really, really good. Okay, I'm going to draw something that I love to draw. This is something I love. Pastor Steph already talked about it a little bit today. Let's see. Okay. A Christmas tree. Okay, let me color it in here. And what does a Christmas tree have on it? It must need some things. What do you... I heard marshmallows, but that can't possibly be right. I heard ornaments. Let's put some ornaments on there. What else? I heard lights. Let me add some lights. This is just so cool. Okay, there we go. A star. I heard a star. Anything else missing? Probably that looks like a floating tree. So there we go. I heard presents. You want to, let's say, ready, set, let's get some presents here. Ready? Fantastic. Look at that. That's amazing. So kids, I wonder, would you love to get these presents? How many of you want a pet for Christmas, want a puppy for Christmas? Okay, parents, take note, write it down if you haven't done all your shopping. Friends, how many of you want a friend for Christmas? I remember there were a couple years I wanted a friend for Christmas. I like that. How about, who would like an all-paid expense trip to Disney World? Anyone want? Okay, some Disney World people. What about Lego? Anyone want Lego? Adults and kids? Okay, I got some hands. What about this one? I didn't know much about this a little bit ago. Roblox. Anyone want some Robux gift cards? If I had a Robux gift card, would you want it? Okay, some of you would want it. You know what? Those are some pretty cool things. Those things make us happy, don't they? I'd feel a lot of happiness if that was under my tree. And happiness is good because happiness is like a gift. But happiness depends on what's happening in my life, doesn't it? See, when things go wrong, we don't feel happy, do we? If things go wrong, well, sometimes that can make us a little bit upset. I didn't mean to make that. Oh, my goodness. What a disaster, Pastor Jessica. You're not very good at drawing. I didn't say I was good. I just said I liked art. You know what? When I was a kid, I was really, really, really tough on myself. Anybody tough on yourself in this room? If I would make a little bit mistake, I'd be like, oh, Jessica, you're the worst. No one's going to want to be your friend. Look, you made a mistake on your picture. And I remember my mother, when I got really, really frustrated and would like throw down my pencil, she'd say, oh, what if it wasn't a mistake? What if you're not just done with the picture yet? And then she would take a pencil and she would change things. She said, what if that isn't a mistake? What if that's just some snow? And that would change my perspective, because the truth is that changing your perspective helps you to see things differently. See, what looks like it had been ruined at first actually can just be that it wasn't completely done. And that's actually a really important lesson for us to learn, because happiness is good, but happiness is an emotion. Happiness is an emotion. Happiness depends on what is happening around us in order for us to feel it. See, when life is fun and life is easy, happiness can show up in our lives. But when life is hard, happiness is hard to find, isn't it? That's why we're not going to talk about happiness today. We're actually going to talk about something deeper, and that deeper thing is called joy. Now, joy is different from happiness. Happiness is how I feel when things go the way that I want them to. But joy is how I choose to live when things don't go my way. So you can still have joy even when you're sad, even when you're mad, when you're tired, when you're hurt, when you're scared. That's the first truth I want us to remember today. Joy can coexist with difficult emotions. Now, kids, the word coexist, what this word means is simply that two things can be happening or exist in the same space at once. So you coexist with your family in the same house. When I was growing up, I coexisted with my sister because we had to share the same bedroom. And so we're about to see how joy and difficult emotions can coexist, and we're going to do it by reading a Christmas story. But before I read the Christmas story, I'm wondering, I probably need a few volunteers to help me out.
Hey. Hi.
This is not your time.
Oh.
I'm in the middle of a teaching. You want to teach?
No.
Okay.
You do that.
Okay.
But I've got some volunteers for you. I think I got the people for you.
Well, I don't know. I need a couple of them. Let me tell you who I need. I need 2 pregnant women. Okay. I need a man named Zachariah. Okay. I need an angel and a neighbor. Okay. Do you have all those people?
I've got one youth. I think so. I might be missing a pregnant woman. A pregnant woman.
You're missing a pregnant woman?
I am. Anyone here?
Pastor Steph.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know if you have told everyone, but I think you're pregnant. Right? Is there a baby in there?
Put me on, coach.
You think
I'm ready? I think I can do it.
Are you sure?
I'll be ready.
Okay.
I'll be ready.
Okay, sounds good. So I think we are going to tell a little story here, but to do that, I think the lights need to come down. Kids, are you ready for a story? I'm going to move over here. I'm going to move my table right over here. Are you ready? Get settled in. Get cozy. A long time ago, before there were Christmas trees and presents and twinkly lights, before there were songs on the radio about snow and sleighs, God made a promise. God promised that one day light would shine in the darkness, that a Savior would come, and God would come to the earth and be with his people. This is what God said: the people who walk in darkness will see a great light. A virgin will give birth to a son, and she will call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. And then God went silent, and the world had to wait for a very long time. For years and years and years, hundreds of years, God didn't speak to the world. And that is a very long time to wait. Generations would have gone by, and it probably felt very quiet. It probably felt very dark, as if God would never speak again. But even when God is quiet, God is never gone. And one day, the story began to move again. See, there once lived a man named Zechariah, and he had a wife named Elizabeth. And they loved God very, very much. They prayed to God every single day, and they tried to follow God with their whole hearts. But there was a very sad part to their story. They wanted a baby for many, many, many years. And they were very, very, very old. And the years kept going by, and the baby that they wanted never, ever came. And so Elizabeth carried a great sadness inside of her heart, because now she was very old, and she wondered if God had forgotten about them. And then she went to have a nap. Then one ordinary day, while Elizabeth was napping, Zechariah went to God's temple because he had been chosen for a very special job that day. And so when he was doing the job, suddenly an angel appeared to Zechariah. And Zechariah's eyes went wide. His heart started pounding. His knees started shaking. But the angel said to him, "Don't be afraid, Zechariah. God has heard your prayer. Your wife Elizabeth is going to give birth to a baby, a son." And the angel said, the baby's name will be John. And that he would help the world get ready for the Messiah, who was also going to be coming soon. Well, Zechariah had a very hard time believing what the angel was saying. And so he tried to explain to the angel, "We are very old. This is impossible." And because Zechariah struggled to believe what the angel said, "Because you don't believe what I'm saying, you're going to be silent until the child is born. You won't be able to talk." Just like that, zip, Zechariah's mouth could no longer speak. Very soon later, the angel went home, back to heaven. Very soon later, just as the angel said would happen, Elizabeth became pregnant. After all those years of waiting, God was writing the next chapter of this story. 6 months later, they left. Good job. 6 months later, there was a young girl named Mary. And Mary was a very young girl. She was very excited because she was about to get married to a man named Joseph, who she loved very much, and there was going to be a wedding and parties and all sorts of wonderful things. But then the angel appeared to the girl named Mary, and the angel changed everything that Mary had planned, because he told her, God is going to do something special for your life. The angel said, "You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. And this baby, Jesus, his kingdom will never, ever end." Now, Mary knew that this baby that was going to be in her tummy was the promised Messiah that the people had been waiting for years and years and years. But Mary felt scared. Mary felt confused. Mary knew her life was about to change forever. But the Bible said that Mary decided to trust God. And so she said, yes. And the angel went away. Not long after that, Mary became pregnant, and Mary went on a journey to visit her cousin, who was named Elizabeth, the very Elizabeth we had already read about. It was a long journey, and when she arrived at Elizabeth's house, she knocked on the door, and when Mary said hello to Elizabeth, the tiny baby that was inside Elizabeth's belly jumped for joy. So Elizabeth grabbed her very pregnant belly and exclaimed, "When I heard your greeting, the baby inside of me jumped for joy." See, joy showed up on that day. And even the baby inside Elizabeth's tummy was excited because Jesus was near. And so Mary's heart was filled with wonder and joy, so much so that she broke out in singing. And this is what she sang. Oh, how my soul magnifies the Lord, how my spirit rejoices in God. For he took notice of this very unimportant girl. And from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For God has done great things for me. God has helped Israel and remembered to be merciful. The promise God made to our ancestors of a Messiah that would come is now the baby that is in my belly. It's exactly what God had promised. Great job. Can you give my friends a round of applause? They did an amazing job. So after hundreds of years of silence, when it felt like God had been done speaking, when it felt like God had forgotten about the people, light started to shine through the darkness. Hope began to rise. Joy showed up. And God chose the most unexpected people to deliver joy to the world. An elderly couple in their senior years, a young teenage girl, a baby who had not even been born yet, which means if God could use them, God could work through anyone. God can work through you. But the truth is, it was not easy. Even though God was doing something beautiful, their lives didn't suddenly become easy. Mary was still young. Elizabeth was still old and confused. Baby John was still waiting. He wasn't even out yet. See, their lives were full of emotions you and I feel all the time. Exhaustion, confusion, sadness, fear, disappointment. They were joyful, though, the Bible says, despite these difficult emotions, because happiness and joy are not the same thing. Happiness is wonderful, but it is only temporary. Happiness will rise and fall depending on what's going on in your life. Happiness can disappear at a moment through a phone call, through a report, through a hurtful comment, through a difficult day. No one is happy all of the time because we live in a very real, complicated, broken world. Even Jesus told us that this is how it would be. Jesus says this, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart because I have overcome the world. See, happiness is fragile, but joy is strong. Joy is like a strong anchor in a difficult storm. Joy holds you steady no matter what is going on around you. Joy reminds us you are not alone. God is at work. God is in control. God has not forgotten about you. And that brings us back to that first truth. Joy can coexist with difficult emotions. See, Mary was scared, but she had joy. Elizabeth was tired, but she had joy. Baby John didn't even understand anything, yet he had joy. Joy coexisted with the other emotions going on inside of them. See, some of us walked in today with some deep things that are hard to fix. You've got questions. You've got fears. The good news is you don't have to pretend that everything is fine in your life. You don't have to manufacture a smile in order to have joy, because joy doesn't ignore your pain. Joy reminds you that God is with you in your pain. Which leads me to the second truth. Joy is a posture that we hold in our lives. Joy isn't something that you feel. Joy is something that you choose, even when you don't feel like it. Look at the responses in the story. John leaps for joy. Elizabeth speaks words of joy. Mary sings words of joy. They didn't get to choose their circumstances. They probably would have chosen other circumstances, but they did get to choose their response. And they chose joy. I want you to imagine if you were in that room with Mary. Imagine the fear and the shock that would have been in the air. Her whole life changed before she even had a moment to process what was happening. Mary did not know how the story was going to unfold. She did not know how everyone was going to think about her. She didn't know what the next days or weeks or months or even the years would bring. Thank goodness she didn't. But Mary chose joy. She chose to trust that God, who had been faithful, would be faithful to her. She chose to say, regardless of what's going on that I don't understand, I'm going to trust God. And as she did that, joy started to bubble up in her life. I want you to pause for a moment and think about the kind of season that you're currently walking through. Is it easy? Is it complicated? Is it difficult? What's going on at home? What's going on at school? What's going on at work right now? Some of us, I think, are walking through seasons that kind of look like Elizabeth or Mary, unexpected, overwhelming, disappointing, or just maybe heavier than you thought this season would be. But all of us are given the same invitation by God. Consider what it means to have joy in the middle of your difficult season, in the middle of life not going your way. Mary understood that better than most people. She would have felt how you and I feel. But she made a decision. She chose to rejoice in the truth that God was with her and that God would continue to be with her. And she chose to believe that the Messiah, the Savior that they had all been waiting for years and years and years, was coming in the most unexpected, most miraculous way. See, Mary realized God had not forgotten about his people. Instead, God was coming closer than ever. Emmanuel, God with us. So imagine being Mary, still probably shaking from the angel's visit, still holding 1,000 questions in her head and her heart, and yet she felt joy rising up inside of her soul because of the truth that God was with her. Imagine what that quiet, comforting joy must have felt to a young Mary who realized, I'm not alone. And it's in that same place where she still carried a lot of questions that didn't have answers that Mary opened up her mouth and she sang the song we just heard about the joy that she was going to choose.
A sign to you, a baby born in Bethlehem. Oh, come and worship, do not be afraid. A company of angels, glory in the highest, and on the earth peace among those on whom his favor rests. Come and worship, do not be afraid. My soul, magnifies the Lord. My soul magnifies the Lord. have a seat.
Well, friends, we heard about Ababa's story of Mary and Elizabeth and how they found joy in the middle of very difficult circumstances. And so today I've invited my friend Ainley to join me here. And now Ainley, a couple of years ago, Ainley's one of our young adults, and a couple of years ago she went through a very difficult season in which I watched her go through this difficult season. So I asked if she would be willing to share her story with us today. Now Ainley, I know the story, but my friends here probably don't know your story. So maybe could you tell us a little bit about what your life was like before the injury and what that season was like for you? How were you anticipating life to go before your world kind of changed?
Yeah, so before my injury, I was in a really fun and enjoyable season. I was in my final semester of university. I had a really light workload, and I had a job lined up right after graduation.
Amazing.
So I had a lot of time to do a lot of the things that I loved. I had a lot of time to hang out with my friends and do the activities that we did. I was able to grow deeper in a community group within my university, and I was able to prioritize my physical health, have those fitness goals, play tons and tons of sports. It really felt like I was in a season where life was settling, and I could just genuinely enjoy each day stress-free.
That sounds amazing. Sounds like a season that everyone would want to be a part of. Now, I know that things changed, though, and you found yourself in that great season, but things shifted pretty quickly, and all of a sudden, your life kind of changed 180. Can you explain to us what happened and how difficult that season ended up being?
Yeah, this was 3 years ago, January 2023, and I was a part of my university's ultimate frisbee team. And this was the beginning of the indoor season. I was playing in a practice game, and I was running to get open for the disc. I pivoted and changed directions really fast, and that's when it happened. I heard 4 really loud pops in my leg, and in that instant, I fell to the ground, and the game stopped. I had to be carried off of the field because I couldn't walk, and I tried to play it off, try to keep my spirits high for my teammates. But I remember, when I left the facility and when I got into my friend's car, I just broke down into tears because I realized the severity and the gravity of my injury. And I remember texting my mom that night saying, I think I really injured my leg. Not the best thing to text your mom at night and wake up to. And the next day, I had to check out what's wrong with my leg. I went to a walk-in clinic, couldn't get a diagnosis. I went to the emergency room, again, couldn't get a diagnosis. A few days later, I had an appointment at an orthopedic doctor's clinic, and still he gave me a diagnosis, but it wasn't 100% sure. And mind you, during this time, I was spiraling. I didn't know what was going on with my leg. I didn't know the timeline, and I was ChatGPTing, what is my recovery timeline? And
Dr. Google is never good.
No.
Okay,
The early stages of ChatGPT, and yeah, it was just a very stressful time. And a few weeks after, I was able to have an MRI, and that's where we confirmed what was going on with my leg. And what happened was I ended up completely rupturing a ligament in my leg known as the anterior cruciate ligament, known as the ACL. And I also did quite a number of things on my knee along with that. So my MCL was also torn, and my meniscus. And this was one of the worst combinations of knee injuries you can get. And since then, my life, it felt a lot different. It was a lot different. I couldn't hang out with my friends that much. I wasn't able to do the activities and gallivant around. I had to retire from my sports teams and all the activities and the fitness goals that I had planned. I had to step back from a lot of my commitments, my volunteer opportunities, and I even had to cancel my graduation trip. So it really felt like I was in such a good season, and all of a sudden, I was put in one of the darkest points.
Now, like Elizabeth and Mary, I know that it wasn't just physical for you. I know there was a mental battle going on, there was an emotional battle going on, spiritual battle going on. So I'm wondering, in that difficult, hard season, were there moments that felt overwhelming, or maybe as if God had forgotten about you in that season?
Yeah, physical injuries are no joke. Like, I used to think that physical injuries, all you had to do was go to physio and you'll get better. But the truth is, physical injuries and the physical part of the injury is a very, very small fraction of the battle. The rest of it is dealing with your emotional state, your mental state, your spiritual health, and that's the part that not a lot of people get to see. So from my physical injury and the limitations that I had, it impacted all parts of my life. I'm a person who really likes control. I like being able to know what's going to happen. I like being able to if I can, shape the outcome of my situation.
I think a lot of us feel that way. We like to shape our situations.
Yeah, and the thing is with an injury, control is out the window. Like, you have no control, it's unattainable. I remember just having no control over how severe my injury was, no control over, booking an MRI appointment, no control over my surgeon's availability to book my surgery, no control over the timeline, my recovery timeline of trying to get back to normal. I was very limited, and I got to a place where I just felt really helpless. Frustrated that nothing was going my way, and just really disappointed. And one of the hardest parts and one of the most overwhelming parts of my entire experience, I remember, was around the time of my surgery. So my surgery was 6 months after I actually got the injury, and the expectation for me was to, right after surgery, start walking, put weight on my leg, and just grind out physio, and I would get better. But I remember when I woke up from the hospital bed after my surgery, my mom told me that, Ainley, there was a lot of additional internal stitching that the doctor had to do in your leg, and you won't be able to walk for quite some time. And I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able to put weight on my leg for 5 weeks.
Wow.
And 5 weeks sounds like a lot, doesn't sound like a lot, it felt like a lot. I remember having to, for 5 weeks, depend on my parents to get me around the house, to go up the stairs, down the stairs, depend on them to take me to the bathroom because I couldn't get there myself. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, 2 weeks after my surgery, I learned that one of my close relatives passed away. And I remember feeling so devastated in that moment, just bad news after bad news after bad news after bad news. And it was really hard for me to feel God's presence. It was really hard for me to know that God is there, especially in that darkest moment. So
I know that in the middle of such a hard season, it is often very difficult, almost impossible, to consider joy. But one thing I have always admired about you, Ainley, is even in that very difficult season, I saw joy in you. I saw you embracing joy. Could you help us understand, maybe if even little small moments, how you were able to step towards joy and embrace joy in such a difficult season?
Yeah, I know I spoke about how hard and how difficult my circumstances were, but I'm here today and I'm able to say that throughout the entire journey, throughout every moment, I was still able to experience and have joy. I was able to have joy by constantly being reminded of how great and how powerful my God is. I was able to trust that He is in control even when I don't have control. And I remember I was able to understand this in the beginning of my injury. This was the early stages when I was trying to figure out and diagnose what was going on with my leg. I remember being so stressed and so worried because, it takes so long to get an MRI appointment to actually diagnose the leg. And I remember just surrendering my thoughts, surrendering my feelings of wanting control to the Lord. And a couple days later, I got a call and I was able to book my MRI appointment the next day. And in that moment, it really felt like God was saying, Ainley, trust me. Trust me, you don't have to have control, I have control. And that was one of the events that happened that made me reframe the posture that I had towards this situation. And I was able to experience a lot of joy and witness so much of God's love, so much of His presence through the people around me. My friends, my family, my community, my family, especially my mom. She exemplified so much sacrificial love for me. being able to drive me to all my appointments, so many appointments, and praying over me all the time, and even waking up in the middle of the night to take me to the bathroom and everything. And even my friends, I had 2 really close friends in the young adult community who I really leaned upon, and they would always check in on me, visit me. And they even, came to my place and pushed me around in a wheelchair to go outside to see the summer sunsets. And it really made me feel warmth within a very dark and lonely time. And then also just being able to experience joy by the reassurance that the Lord is working through every moment and every milestone that I had when I was going through my recovery process. There's a video of me taking my first step of my ACL journey, and this was 5 weeks out of surgery. I was able to walk for the first time, and I was so happy, so filled with joy because I wasn't able to get there without the Lord. And the thing is, I think with any physical injury or setback or like grieving period, anything that you're going through, it's really easy to get stuck in tunnel vision and not see the greater picture. It's really easy to feel and carry this bitterness and frustration. But we know that, the Lord is good still, and that He is there for us, and that we can trust that He is orchestrating our entire life. He's orchestrating our entire life, and that we can have trust and hope that whatever He's doing, He's using any circumstance to still further His glory and for our own as well. And that we can enjoy, even in the hardest moments, the sweet, sweet presence of God and His love and warmth and care for us. And I remember preparing for this talk, I was actually looking through my journal entries, and in the early stages of my journal entries, I wrote to myself, "The joy of the Lord is my strength. The Lord guides my steps." And then a few pages later, I looked at, "Ainley, remember that your strength comes from the joy of the Lord." And I think looking back at my entire journey, I was able to put my hope in this, lean on His strength, and have His joy be my own.
I think of Christmas and I think how difficult it is for some people if they're walking through a difficult season. What would you say in a couple short words, maybe to Ainley back then or to someone who's facing a difficult season now? What would you say about embracing joy amidst a difficult season?
No matter what situation you're in, whatever season of suffering, setbacks that you're going through, no matter how long you may be in it or how uncertain the road looks ahead, to know that the Lord is with you, the Lord is for you, and that He will never abandon you. In the Bible, it says that God has engraved your name on the palm of His hand, and He is good. And if you ever feel like, He's forgotten about you, He hasn't. If you ever feel like, I feel so far away from God, He's not. He's good, He's working, and He will never stop working. And we could put our trust and hope that He is in control and that He is doing everything for His glory and our own good. And whatever boulder you are carrying, to surrender it to God and to let yourself be open to how He will use you and how He will use your situation, because we're not meant to go through this life on earth alone.
I'm reminded that the Bible says that joy is a fruit of the Spirit, and fruit doesn't grow in our lives because life is easy. Fruit grows when we plant something and when it roots. And so joy doesn't mean a pain-free life. Joy means God is present with us. That's what we've seen today. Elizabeth found joy because God kept His promise. Mary found joy because of God's promise that He was going to stay with her. You found joy because you were reminded that God had never left you. And that leads us to point number 3, truth number 3, and it's this. Jesus is not just the giver of joy. Jesus is joy. God sent Jesus into a broken world to say, I am with you. You are not alone. I will come close to you. That's why the angels announced Jesus' coming to the earth And the angel said this, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for everyone, all the people. Today in the town of Bethlehem, a Savior will be born, and he is the promised, long-awaited Messiah." So today, in just a moment, we're going to light the joy candle, and we light a candle each week for Advent. And the joy candle reminds us that Jesus came to be with us. And because he is with us, we can embrace joy. And so, Ainley, I'm going to invite you to light the joy candle for us today. Thank you, Ainley, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Friends, we can too have joy in difficult seasons because Jesus is with us. Emmanuel, God with us. And so in this moment, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, everyone in this room. And kids, this just gives us a safe space between us and God. And I have two groups of people I'd love to pray for this morning. The first group of people would be those who'd say, "You know what, Pastor Jessica, I'm going through a hard, difficult season. My life is complicated. Maybe I'm in a season in which I never expected to walk through this. I'm struggling in my health or my family or my relationship, in my home, at school, at work." If that's you, no one's looking around right now. It's just me. I'm going to invite you to raise your hand so that I can pray for you today. So many of us walking through difficult seasons. Yes, I see that hand. I see those hands. And then secondly, as I pray, I'd love to pray with anyone who'd say, "You know what, Pastor Jessica, I need Jesus. This Jesus that you talk about, who came at the first Christmas to be with us, I want to follow this Jesus. I want to grow close to this Jesus. I want to remember that he is with me." If that's you, if you'd say, "You know what, Pastor Jessica, I need to follow Jesus today," I'd invite you to raise your hand so that I can pray with you in just a moment. Yeah, I see that hand. I see those hands. So I'm going to pray a very simple prayer, and if you want to use these words, you can, to pray to God. Jesus, thank you for coming to this world to be with us. Jesus, would you forgive me for the ways that I act as if I don't need you? Today I'm declaring, I need you. Thank you that you call yourself Emmanuel, God with us. Help me to remember that you are with me. As we enter this Christmas season, would you make Christmas come alive? Not just happiness, God, but deep joy that reminds me that you came close and that I am not alone. Thank you, Jesus. And Jesus, for my friends in this room, as we step towards Christmas, God, in 11 days, I pray that we would be reminded that joy is you. You are joy. Your presence in our lives. The way that you came to this earth to be with us, God. Jesus, we thank you. And so would you help us to keep our eyes fixed on you. In difficult seasons that we walk through, help us to remember you are with us. As we heard through Elizabeth and Mary and Ainley's story, you do not abandon us. You come close. Help us to see your hand at work in our lives over these next days. In your name, amen. Merry Christmas, friends.